Hello and welcome to the first week in review Xbox League Racing video. Coming up today we've got BBS, NRC and all of the AEC miniseries action that's taken place so far, as well as the latest news and transfers. Before we begin, I just want to say a big thank you for the support on the last video, and it was really good to see that people are interested in seeing this type of content, and if you enjoy this one too, please like the video and do subscribe to the channel. Thank you and enjoy the video. Beginning with this week's League Racing news, the calendar and prize pool for the upcoming NRC season has been announced in advance of last night's first round at Jeddah. The 10 teams will be competing for a £400 share across the 12-round calendar, with previous champions TF looking to retain their title. In other NRC news, Parnell had to pull out due to their small console roster size and was subsequently replaced by BRT, who make their debut in the championship. Keep watching to see how round 1 panned out for all 10 teams. Elsewhere, WR tier placements were released. Tier 1, announced on Friday, has 10 Xbox drivers being joined by 10 PlayStation drivers to compete in the Premier Console class. Unsurprisingly, some drama arose from this, with the likes of Liam Bowman and Quantum seeming to have been snubbed in their hopes for a place in Tier 1. Later in the week, the remaining 8 crossplay tier placements were released, with the aforementioned Liam Bowman and Quantum heading up Tier 2, alongside the likes of Shazoo's Venom and last season's Tier 3 champion NRX Furious. In this week's transfer news, the biggest story was Rusty's departure from Parnell after a short spell at the team. The Englishman had only recently joined the Xbox side of Liam Parnell's outfit from Nexus, but chose to make the switch back to his old team, saying, "I just didn't feel like I fit in as well as I'd have hoped." As one driver joined NRX, another left. Rain, who had only joined from MVR 10 days previously, parted ways with Nexus to rejoin his old team FRT. The transfer news of the week came when Joran announced his departure from Team Valor in order to join FG. An unexpected move, certainly. Moving on to the racing action from the past week and before, the first stop is the AEC miniseries. As mentioned in the previous video, this is acting as a pre-season to the main Tier S series, where some teams are auditioning for their chance to race. What is unique about this miniseries is that it has no calendar, and the track for the next race is only decided after the previous round is complete. The opening round of the season headed to the birthplace of F1 at Silverstone, and the season started impressively for favourites PSR, who locked out the front row in qualifying. Ogween headed up the chasing pack for SLR, with EXR Anthony as the star of the session in 6th place. MVR Egger was the biggest disappointment, however, only managing 17th and a lap half a second slower than teammate Bowman in 4th. The race itself got underway relatively cleanly, with the PSR duo holding position and swapping for the lead across the first few laps. The race was then neutralised, however, on lap 7, when a crash by BRT's Tamino brought out the safety car.
Well, they've done the opposite at PSR. And I don't think it's quite worked out how they might have expected it, because only 6 drivers, you'd expect those further back to come in and make the low-risk change. But Smokey will be 13th following this pit stop.
Yeah, that... I wouldn't have done that personally, but I'm sure Crystal is engineering them. Maybe he knows something we don't.
An interesting strategy strip there, with some of the field choosing to go onto a set of new mediums, possibly to the end. Others chose to stay out, gambling on track position with the rain imminent.
Let's watch his progress, almost making a move into Abbey. Just look at the amount of grip that Britt has coming through turn 2, and he's pulled to the inside at Village, and down the inside he goes into turn 3. He's up into P12, sight set on 11,
looking for the same move as well, and he's got passes on the rocks as well. As has risks.
Smokey again, forcing Bobbitt's defensive. He'll go the long way round once again. Can he carry the speed? He'll take the switch back though, and that is a glorious move by PSR Smokey. Fresh tyres indeed, but it's about being smart in his racecraft. And here comes another move up the inside, potentially of NRX Zinity. There wasn't a lot of room to play with. Zinity opened it up at the final moment. Smokey wasn't willing to take the risk, but his exit from Cops is outstanding, and he'll go around the outside into Maggots. Oh, Zinity takes it back, and again he'll have the inside. Again Smokey to the outside. What a battle this is for P10, and again Smokey straight onto the ERS, straight into the slipstream, and straight into P9. AERT Lou has nothing to answer for that. A brilliant display of driving here from Smokey, and it's not over as another move down the inside on BRT Meatball.
Smokey scythed his way through the pack on his fresh medium tyres, with the rain beginning to drizzle. soon finding his way into the lead on the race by lap 12. Those still out on hard tyres began to make their pit stops on lap 14 and 15, with the rain not coming hard enough yet to warrant inters. Smokey also made a surprising second stop on lap 18, clearly thinking the mediums wouldn't last. This left Stokey of Valor and Risks of FRT on debut to battle for the race lead, with Smokey chasing them on much fresher tyres. It came down to the final lap between the two, with Smokey unable to catch in time.
Well, is this the final lap of all final laps for Future Racing Team then, in the very first race of the AEC mini-series? The preview to Tier S, if you like. I'm not quite sure this race is too representative with the conditions we've had tonight, raining for the best part of 15 laps, yet no intermediates in sight. Here comes FRT Risks. Will he go to the inside, or will it be the outside? It'll be the outside into Stowe, the long way round on the Mercedes. He's carried the speed, he's got the inside into Vale. Late lunge from FRT Risks, he's locked up the rears. Stokey hangs in on the inside, wheel to wheel round the final corner. A club, they're rubbing wheels. Stokey wins by nothing.
With Risks just unable to take the win at the last there for FRT, he takes second behind Stokey. Smokey rounds out the podium with Bowman fourth and NRX Furious fifth, making it 5 different teams in the top 5 to start the AEC miniseries. Round 2 of the miniseries saw the grid take to the streets of Jeddah in Saudi Arabia, and it was PSR on pole once again, this time with Sav. Rain for MVR, Risks for FRT and Magician for NRX made it 4 teams in the top 4, while Kai was unable to improve on his final run and started 5th.
And on come the lights now. All 5 on ahead of the drivers. And they're out. Sam runs away, and it's a terrible camera angle. I can't see a thing going down into the first corner, but it's fixed itself. And Sav takes the lead then into the first corner. A spin for Magician. Drama there in the background as the Haas has taken an early off. He plummets down the order into plumb last as through turn 4 we go now. Very tough to get 2 cars through here. Rev Caterpillar and Chelsea Fan are trying.
The race started in dramatic fashion, with NRX's Magician falling to the back of the field at turn 1. Both BRT drivers were also caught up in an incident with FRT's Chelsea Fan at the end of the first sector and fell to the rear of the field. The race continued as an interesting strategical battle, where they're unclear whether the undercut, attempted by the likes of Valor and NRX, or the overcut, which PSR and FRT favoured, would pay dividends. By the end though, it was PSR who ran out with a dominant 1-2.
Though it's been a little bit anticlimactic to what we might have seen last week at Silverstone with the photo finish between Stokey and Risks. This time it has gone the way of PSR, who were the chasers last Wednesday. Rounding the final corner now is PSR Kai. Dominant in Jeddah for PSR.
Rain took 3rd place for MVR, while Valor also had a strong performance, finishing 4th and 6th. Round 3 of the mini-series took place in Bahrain, which would be Smokey's final race on console. The Englishman ended up dominating qualifying, grabbing pole position with a 27.4, nearly 3/10 faster than the next fastest time. Valor, who had impressed in the opening 2 rounds, including winning in Britain, disappointed, with neither driver setting a time good enough for the top 10.
All 5 on ahead of the drivers. And they're out. Sam are underway in a very quick start there for Smokey. The lights weren't held for long, but up goes M-Racer into 3rd place. He's overtaken Nick. Both Hasses and NRX drivers have actually, as Nick lagging down through the order and back up again. This is going to prove very difficult as he's inside one of the Hasses of NRX Quantum. Hopefully this gets resolved quickly and they aren't spitting each other off into the runoff area. As around the outside goes PSR Smokey, because Bowman has got up his inside. Had the slipstream, had the run, and is now contending for the lead. M-Racer there waiting in the wings as well, and Bowman spun! Contact!
It didn't take long for the safety car to be deployed, however, as BRT's Tamino crashed on lap 2. Bowman, who had been involved in contact, was able to use this to advantage and was able to attempt a medium-medium strategy. Racing resumed at the start of lap 5, and over the first lap of green flag racing, Smokey was able to build a lead of over 2 seconds, whilst Bowman gained 3 places up to 12 on his fresh medium tyres. Some desync did occur as the race progressed, however, much to commentators Joseph and Greenhorn's amusement.
PSR Nick is lagging a lot, it looks like, as he was ghosting his exit fun. It's a round the outside. What's going on? What is going on? PSR Nick.
No!
There was once again an intriguing strategic battle, with Bowman managing to pull off an excellent medium from the safety car to P2, but it was Smokey who dominated throughout, winning the race by over 5 seconds in his final race on console.
And in the final sector of his console career on F1 23, as he rounds the final corner now.
NRX Quantum rounded up the podium in third, while Shazoo followed up a strong qualifying with a good haul of points in fifth and sixth. Heading into round 4 then, it was PSR on top of the standings, but it was second-placed NRX who initially dominated qualifying, with Sindri topping the timesheet. However, it was PSR who took pole in the end, with Nick pipping Sindri to pole with the final lap of the session. The rest of the field was incredibly close, with just 0.03 of a second separating 4th and 8th, and drives from 4 different teams. The main surprise of the session was GSR James, whose bank lap, which had put in P2 originally, was good enough for a 6th place starting spot for the currently pointless GSR. BRT once again disappointed, with Gabor invalidating his last run, leaving the 2 Bunga drivers near the back in 15th and 17th. Elite Risk also impressed on his debut, qualifying in 5th place.
For the second time this evening, they're out and we're underway, and once again it's an equal start between Nick and Sindri on the front row, and Sindri will pull into the slipstream of Nick, who is covering the inside this time. He's learnt his lesson from the first attempt as round the outside goes Sindri. They bang wheels. Sindri has to go onto the long lap penalty. Rejoins the race, still side by side with PSR Nick. Rounding turn 3 once again. Sindri still looking to go the long way round with Drobble on the inside. Ogween around the outside. Drobble is up into P3, something he failed to do on the first attempt, and he'll look to go the long way round, but look at Sindri. He's dived down the inside of PSR Nick. Still they touch, coming through turn 4, and Sindri's going to have the inside into turn 7.
There was much action in the lead pack as the race began, with side-by-side racing happening up and down the field through the first sector. There were some collisions at the back of the field, however, and qualifying star GSR James was also spun to the back of the field. The leaders battled closely for the race lead in the opening of the race, in the tight packed DRS train, until contact on lap 9 changed the course of the race. Fowler's Arch and MVR's Drobble came together in the back straight in an instant that only fueled the existing feud between the two teams, especially between managers of the two, which spilled onto social media after the race. As for the race itself, the safety car was brought out as a result of the incident, and Arch earned himself a 10-second time penalty to be added on at the end of the Grand Prix. Racing later resumed on lap 12, with NRX Ogween being the only driver to stay out, taking the head of the field on an old set of hard tyres.
He's leaving it late. He's got my timings all wrong, but finally he's foot to the floor, and he's racing again in Spain as here comes NRX Sindri already. And remember, this is for the net lead of the race, and PSR Nick is gaining as well. We could have a 3-wide moment going into the first corner with Sindri on the outside. Nick has hit Ogween. Sindri has to take to the escape road once more, and he rejoins still side by side with the AlphaTauri and make that Arch, and they've got history. Here comes Arch to the right hand side. It might be 3 abreast going into turn 4. It is, with Ogween sandwiched in the middle, his teammate going around the outside, and he's off into the gravel and almost into the tyre barrier as well.
Ogween losing out there, dropping to the back of the pack in what was arguably a strategy mistake by NRX. As the race progressed, the lead changed hands many times on the main straight, but it took until lap 20 for the first huge battle since the restart.
61 viewers at the moment. Sindri might make a move here because Nick didn't quite fancy it. Going into turn 1 then, it's getting close, and someone has got to pull the trigger sooner rather than later, because the top 4 are separated by less than a second. And here comes Sindri, because Nick's made a mistake going through turn 3, and Shizou Hilton out of nowhere has got into P2, but Nick does the switchback. He'll have the outside line into turn 4, Sindri down into 4th.
With Ilton taking P2, the lead continued to change hands between the front two, now of Arch and Ilton, until the race erupted on the penultimate lap.
Well, he's finally seeing it now though. Going to the inside, he's hit Arch! Oh my words! The old rivals rub once again, going through turn 1 and 2, and Arch just has to yield on the exit of turn 2. PSR Nick is there, waiting in the wings as well. Arch in the slipstream, pulling to the right hand side. Nick sandwiched on the exit, and there's another push on Sindri, and he's hit him again. And Dilton comes through and gives Nick a little bit of a love tap, and he's hit him! Oh my word, PSR Nick is in the wars at the moment. Gabber has gone the long way round at turn 5. Just like that, Nick has fallen to P5. Maybe make it P... No!
A chaotic first sector of lap 32 culminated in the retirement of MVR's Rev and FRT's Chelsea being left with damage. It was now Sindri of NRX attacking Arch for the win into the final lap.
Space too, a red cap on that inside line.
Here we go.
Lap though, It's NRC Sindri. He picks into lane early. He gets that lead of the race as it enters on to the last time they'll take turn 1 during this race. FRA are just got to do everything they can to get that P2. But look at It's been absolutely crazy at the back here.
Sindri was able to hold on to the win for the remainder of the final lap and came home to take NRX's first victory of the mini-series. Gabor's contact with Ilton at the first sector of the final lap dropped the BRT driver down to 9th, surely a frustrating turn of events with the Hungarian. Despite finishing second on track, Archer's 10-second time penalty for his collision with Drobble would drop him to 8th. So then, after 4 weeks of mini-series action, here's how the standings look. PSR and NRX look dominant out front, but the battle for third between Valor, MVR, FRT and Shazoo looks incredibly tight, and it'll be hugely interesting to see what happens there across the final 2 rounds of the season. BBS kicked off the league racing season proper, with round 1 taking place at Bahrain. All 5 teams in the tournament have gone with pretty much their strongest possible lineup to kick off the season. Qualifying itself started poorly for PSR though, with Choco managing to discrew himself in the session before any laps had even been set. Kai soon revived performance for PSR though, sending a flying 27.5 to provisional pole with his second run. Quantum, however, pipped Kai to pole by just 13 thousandths to the death of the session, drowned off a balanced qualifying session with all 5 teams featuring in the top 7. Overall, it was probably MVR who had the best qualifying performance, with all 4 of their drivers appearing in the top 10. On the other hand, hosts BRT arguably disappointed, with only Joe Murphy setting a lap good enough for the top 12. They look to the race to try and improve their fortunes.
So, there will be no formation lap. This is the first round of BBS NA. Who can take the crown on the first challenge? It's NRX on pole position. As we wait the lights to go out, it's lights out, away we go. Who gets away well? Quantum is absolutely flying off the line, but Kai's got even better. He's firing it down into turn 1. There's a flurry of cars in the background, but I think Kai is on the inside. Yes, he is. He's challenging already. He's wrapping it around the outside. He's locking wheels with Quantum. Who's going to get through? Quantum holds the lead. Now behind. I don't think anyone's going to dive behind. Have we got side-by-side action from FRA Arch and MVR Lucas heading into turn 4 now. Lucas is on the outside line, and I think he's going to get Arch here. Sindri's looking for it, but he can't quite get it done. They're heading through turn 5 now, and I think everyone's got through.
There were no changes to the order within the top 7 to start the race, despite attempts from both Kai and Nick on the inside of the first corner. The rest of the field made it through the first sector relatively cleanly, aside from MVR's Nico being tapped around to the back of the field in an incident that would earn M-Racer a 5-second penalty post-race. In its early stages, the race was characterised by some incredible battling in the lead pack, with PSR eventually managing to make the race into a 1-2 on lap 9.
Oh, double move, Solon! Double move! We're 2 by 2! We might be 3 wide into turn 1! Oh my god! Wow! PSR Kai takes it, but Nick with a double overtake! Oh my word! But could it be 3 for PSR Nick? He's coming into turn 1! Oh my god! Nick takes the lead!
Nick for his own teammate.
3 cars in 4 corners!
Kai was quickly able to separate himself from the top 4 back and began to grow the gap, while the others jostled for position before an undercut from Quantum and then Bowman. Kai and Nick made progress back towards the other pair after an overcut, but their progress was halted by the safety car being brought out on lap 23 by a crash from BRT's Meatball. Kai and Nick chose to stay out on their quite new mediums, while the rest of the field came into the pits for a new set of softs. This left the order as Kai and Nick, followed by Quantum and then Bowman on new soft tyres.
They're in the same team.
Yeah. And NRX Quantum, he's not waiting for the. He's not waiting at all. He's firing it into turn 1. Here comes Quantum. These are crucial overtakes. Kai's diving to the. I don't know what's going on with that Kai movement, but Quantum is trying to make the move on Nick. He now hasn't got the move, and he's made contact, which slows him down on the exit of turn 3. Here comes Liam Bowman round the outside, and he takes it into turn 4. Quantum though, still on the inside. Can he hold it through turn 4? Yes, the inside line hops over the curb, but Liam Bowman has the optimal line. He's forced out onto the curb, and Quantum holds P3. Hold it into turn 1.
Oh,
no dice. Liam's looking to the inside, but there goes Quantum. Oh, Kamikaze dive, and he makes. Oh, they've taken each other out. Oh my word! Go on, wings off. Kamikaze dive, and it's resulted in carnage.
That incident between Nick and Quantum allowed Bowman to take advantage, giving him a clear run at Kai for the final 2 laps.
1.5 sectors to go. He's on the medium tyres. They're screaming as he wiggles out of turn 8. Liam Bowman on the soft tyres. He's hungry for the race win. He looks to the inside of turn 10, but he stays put. They exit now out of turn 10. This might be it. This might be the final go. Here comes Liam Bowman on the back of PSR Kai, heading round the outside into turn 11. Can he get it done on the soft? No, he can. and think PSR Kai might have done this. Liam's looking to the outside,
Bowman
but he
looking
stays
to the outside,
put,
looking on
and
the
he's still
inside.
on the
He's
inside
getting every
defending.
position.
Oh my word.
Thompson,
Oh my word, I think he's holding on.
Thompson,
One more
Trail.
corner. One more
Coco,
corner.
he's been there.
Here comes, no, here
been
comes
there.
Liam Bowman for the lead. Round the outside into turn one.
He's going
Can
for it.
Liam do
Oh,
it?
he's
There-
going.
Oh my word,
And he's
Liam's
going
off the
wide.
track. Liam's
He's
off the
going in
track.
sprint,
Oh
yes.
my word, Kai takes
Exactly.
the race win
And Kai
at the
wins.
death.
Kai was able to fend off Bowman, however, allowing PSR to go on to win in round one and take the lead in the standings. Despite this, they may have expected a bit more from round one, and host BRT may have been disappointed not to capitalise on such a chaotic race. If you want to keep up with the action from BBS, round 2 is taking place tonight on Monday the 24th of July at Australia, and PSR will be looking to extend their lead in the championship after a strong opening round. As well as BBS to look forward to, the first race of the TTC season also gets underway tonight from Bahrain. The team tournament turned league has a strong grid and it'll be exciting to see how the action unfolds. Both these series can be followed on their respective Twitch channels. As mentioned earlier, the opening round of the NRC season headed to Saudi Arabia on Sunday night. With a full qualifying format in play, there were shocks in quali as drivers were knocked out session by session. Q1 saw PSR Kai exit with a qualifying ban, while Q2 was disappointment for NRX, with Ogwin having crashed on his final run of Q1 and would take no part in the session, while Rusty was also knocked out. That left just the Q3 shootout remaining, where PSR Sav ended up taking pole by 2/10 to TF Kian. 6 of the 7 teams who made it through to the final session were represented in the top 6 in what looked to be a good battle at the front between multiple teams.
It's what we've aimed for, and all 5 lights coming on now, ahead of the drivers! In front of 100 viewers in NRC! We're underway for Season 3, and PSR Sam from pole does get away well on the short 168-metre dash into the first corner. Kian Gerdendorp has the inside, but he can't quite take the Mercedes. Through turn 2, onto turn 3, and then the tricky single file turn 4 to come then, and it's PSR Sam who maintains the lead, ahead of Kian, ahead of Giovanni, ahead of Nando, and a bit of altercation there between Magician and Macho there as well, wheel to wheel momentarily. Macho getting ahead of Magician. Ryan and Fezzo have sorted themselves out, single file through the remainder of Sector 1, and everybody pointing in the right direction.
Moving on to the race itself, it was a clean start for the majority of the field. TF's Kian, who started on the soft tyre, overtook Sav on hards in Sector 2. Despite the 2 compound difference between the two, Sav managed to stick with Kian and a gap began to open up to third place over the following laps. Sav eventually took the lead from Kian into turn 1 on lap 6, although behind, Kai was involved in an incident with OP Nando Jr., bringing out the safety car.
Fezzo was up in a P3, it's a BRT 4-5 on their debut, Ryan up in a P6.
Oh, huge
There
crash!
goes Murphy on it, but the back's the safety car's happened. Joseph, what's happened
Oh,
here?
there was a squeeze into the wall, front wings flying off.
The entire field came into the pits under the safety car here, largely for medium tyres, but it was disaster for PSR Sav under the safety car, as he disconnected and his AI pitted him once racing resumed on lap 10. This promoted Magician to second for BRT, with PSR now running a distant 19th and 20th. Over the following laps, the powerful nature of the slipstream in DRS, coupled with Jeddah's circuit design, led to much side-by-side action throughout the field, and on lap 15 the safety car was brought out for the second time after Shazoo Macho crashed out in Sector 3. The morale of the field came into the pits once again, fitting a mixture of soft and medium tyres.
It's Joe Murphy to lead us away, flat out nice and early, to restart the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix for the second time. We're back to green flags, and Joe Murphy leads the way ahead of the 2 NVR drivers, Stonks and Ego, who have had really horrid times for the most part this evening. Can they defend and get one of them on the podium? That'd be a special moment for the team returning after a hiatus.
It was BRT's Joe Murphy who led away an NVR 2-3 on the restart, as these are the drivers who hadn't opted to pit, and it wasn't long before the field was under caution once again. Through the chaos though, it was Kian of TF who was able to make it to the front of the field, while the likes of Fezzo, Joe Murphy, Rusty and Devon battled for the remaining podium places.
Who's still in the slipstream of Joe Murphy. Final lap of this Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, and TF Fezzo is going to try and secure Talent Factory's 6th 1-2 of the tournament. What a move from Fezzo. Carnage further back. It's Devin. Rusty has been taken with him.
Kian did take the win for TF, with Fezzo making it a 1-2 for the double champions. Joe Murphy rounded out the podium for BRT, whilst OP finished 4 and 5. PSR will be disappointed, only managing 7th and 12th thanks to Sav's disconnect and Kai's qualifying ban, but it was a good recovery from the back of the field towards the end of the race from them. Well, that rounds off everything for today. If you enjoyed this rundown, all the support is really appreciated, and make sure to tune in at the same time next week for another. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.